and broadcast. Are we live yet? I think we're live. Hello? Are we live yet? Bit of a delay there. I think we're live. Hello? Are we live yet? Bit of a delay there. I think we're live. Hello? Are we live yet? Yeah, I think I can see the chats. Hi guys, hi guys. It's nice to be with you guys here. My first live show. Welcome to my live show. Welcome to Kweremeka. There's an echo. How? Don't know how I can fix that. Seems to be an echo. There is an echo. Is the echo still there? No echo? Okay, some people are saying there's no echo. Oh, okay. I think it's because I was listening to the chat to myself on the phone. So I think it's the mic code that. So people are saying no echo. Okay. Great. Okay, is the sound okay? Can I get a feedback on the sound? 28 people in. That's great. It's fine. Thanks. All right. Sound is perfect. Thank you. So they're saying the sound is perfect. Great. Right. Okay, so let's begin our live show. Since the sound is perfect, we got 28 people in. I'm glad you guys are over here. Like, thank you for being here. So, what's the topic of this live? We're gonna talk about how the mainstream media, has been pushing a false narrative, a false image of the Kemites out there. So let's get right into the topic. I don't know if you guys saw, like, Mr. Imhotep just dropped the video, like his video today, on the same topic. I was quite surprised about it. I was like, whoa, okay, we had the same idea. That's great. That's really great. I don't know if you guys saw this video. Great video. We had like the same topic. I wanted to make a live on it, and he made a video. Yeah, Mr. Imhotep always does a good job. Always. Yeah, you guys should check it out. You guys should check it out. Great video. Same, almost the same topic. So, yeah, so what are we going to talk about? Let me put the... Let me put the slides on. And there we go. Right, so this is the topic. The false representation of Kemet in media. Then we got the goddess Mahat, the goddess of truth, because that's what we're here for, the truth. And then we have Amosene Fertari and her great grandson, King Tut. I believe they are related. Yeah, someone said Mr. Imhotep does thorough research. Yeah, great research he does. He does really great research. So, the false representations of Kemet. Where does it start? How deep does it go? So that's what we're going to be talking about. So let's get right into it. Since we got like 34 people out here, that's quite amazing. Like, I wasn't expecting so many people to turn up. So we start with the early days. How Europe viewed Kemet in the late 19th century to the early 20th century. We're going to focus on Europe or the Western world because they are like the main guys in the media. Their media is the most powerful. Hollywood, you know, and their paintings and how they view the world dominates our psyche. It dominates our world. So that's why the focus is going to be on that. Yeah, ancient Egyptians were native Africans. Yes, they were. Saladin, just Saladin. Hi, Saladin. All right, so we start with the early days, before TV. Before TV, you only had paintings. And these are paintings, all these paintings popped up around the 18th century. For those who know why this period matters, is because that's around the time Champollion Figeac, like the big brother of Champollion the Young, that's the father of Egyptology. The father of Egyptology, Champollion the Young. I don't know if we can get a picture of him on the internet. So we have Champollion. Champollion. This is Champollion the Young. This one is Champollion the Young. He is the father of Egyptology. Then we have his older brother, Champollion Figeac. He is the one who came around and just started denying the Africanness of Kemet. So that's the big brother right there. Lied a lot about the topic. So because he lied so, we had a lot of paintings like these popping up in the mainstream artistry of the time. So this would be the medium of the time. This would be the medium of the time. People, how they got to view, to see imagery of things at the time. It would be on paintings. So they really started early on with these paintings, making the Kemites pale, Caucasian looking, with all these weird clothing the Kemites are wearing. This is not how the Kemites would dress up. This is simply not So this is a painting by Lawrence Alma. What's his name? Lawrence Alma Tadema, Death of the Pharaoh Firstborn Son. And then we have this other imagery from 1885, the procession of the sacred bull Anubis. And same thing here, like here they are even paler than on the previous picture. Caucasian looking and all Caucasian looking. The kids here, like, I don't know if you've seen a European kid rocking this hairstyle. I don't think we've quite seen that. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if we've seen a Caucasian kid rocking that hairstyle over there. So again, it started early with images like this one, where the Kemet princess or queen over here, I don't know if this is supposed to represent a queen or a princess, because the whole dress up is really, really not how a Kemet queen would have dressed. Like, it's really weird. The hairstyle, the crown there. So you see the ladies are pale and the men working there are brown to dark brown, like really dark, and two are really dark brown, and then the others are a shade of pale brown, sort of beige. And that's the idea of the Kemites were painting men in reddish brown because they were always working outside, and ladies, since they're delicate, they're always working inside, and so they are paler. That's the idea. That's what the painter put in on this picture. The finding of Moses, early 20th century. So you see how the ideas spread by the father of Egyptology. That is, well, this is no, not the father of Egyptology. The brother of the father of Egyptology. His ideas of the Kemites were not African; they were pale Caucasian white people. These are the results of such ideas. The women were always represented in yellow, that Cherubini Salvatore spoke about. For those who don't know Cherubini, that's the guy who came up with the idea that the men were painted reddish brown because they worked outside, and the women pale yellow because they were always inside, and so they chose the pale yellow skin as the default color of the Kemites. So that's it for the paintings, like in old paintings of the time. So you see where it already started. So for many people out there in Europe, in late 19th century to the early 20th century Europe, for someone who had not been to Kemet, this is the imagery they would be seeing. People looking like this, and so they would be, whoa, the Egyptians were just like me. If you look at the real monuments like the father of Egyptology he had really looked on them and said, oh, these are typical Africans, no different from other African people. So that's the fruit of the false ideas that were spread. And someone who had not been to someone who had not been to Egypt would not know the reality of the situation. So they would just take this in and say, oh, these were Caucasian people. Now we go into modern paintings, how Western artists imagined Kemet at the time. We got the god Jehuti there, my favorite Neteru of Kemet. So in modern paintings, they continued the same idea. I think this is early 2000 paintings. They continued the same idea, painting the Kemites pale with Caucasian features. Look at the hair on this one. That's not the hairstyle of the Kemites. That is not it. This looks like a painting, a depiction of maybe when Kemet started becoming, when Kemet fell and started becoming Roman, more Arab. That's what you get on this picture. But to them, they are depicting the ancient ones. But if you compare to the wall painting there, the coloration of the skin is not the same. And then we have this painting, another scene of Moses. Like a lot of the Bible scenes played into this, right? Like trying to represent Bible scenes. And you have this one. Look at the Kemite queen, really, really pale, really super pale. And then her workers are darker in hue, but they still look Caucasian. And Moses himself is really pale, so white. So the important characters again in the Bible were white. So that's the idea they're trying to portray in the imagery. Because had he made this dark brown lady, I guess they would have tripped. They would have been like, this painting is not so interesting. Anyway. So I was like, what the hell is that? That's just paintings, man. That's just paintings from the time. Okay, then you have this other modern painting trying to depict the Kemite dancers and Kemite serving ladies as this pale shade. But if you look at the imagery of actual Kemite serving ladies, they don't look like that. I don't know if I can pull that picture up. Let me see if I can quickly find it. Let me see, where is that painting? There's a painting where servants were at a wedding. So they were serving the lords and ladies of Kemet. Right, I think I found it. Right. Let's see if I can pull that in. Right, I think I got it. Now, look at these serving ladies over here. They look completely different from the previous ones you've just seen. Yes, they do not wear anything on them. They don't wear anything on them. But what you see here is brown skin, dark brown skin to brown skin, the dancers at the bottom there. So it's outed. This depiction here is completely not representative of the truth. So that's quite this painting is quite the lie. It's quite the lie. That's the least we can say about it. It's quite the lie. Then we move on to movies. When the most powerful visual medium was born, what did they do with this tool to portray the Kemites, to put in the head of the people? What did the Kemites look like? So I said it's probably just a tan from it's probably just a tan from dancing outside. Yes, probably. Most likely just a tan. Or they're just African dancers who came since it's just funny the way they would just come up with the most ridiculous excuses. So movies, the propaganda through the most powerful medium, TV. So we start early. Among the early movies of the 1900s, this is a movie from 1954, The Egyptian, So now let's see what the Egyptian, quote unquote Egyptians, looked like. You can already see from this imagery, like from the imagery here, it's really the drawings. It's already looking wrong. Yeah, someone said the Egyptians were black Caucasians. That's actually the truth, you know. Black-skinned Caucasians with woolly hair and protruding lips. So, now this is what this movie portrayed the Egyptians as the what is this hair like? Oh my God! Like, what were they even doing? Anyway, the hairstyle aside, that what is this? Anyway, the hairstyle aside, you have the skin tone of the people. So early on, they started already. The Kemites were Caucasians, like any other European. They would say race does not matter, but they go on to make these kind of movies. So we already know the answer. We already know the answer. The Kemites, race is not an issue here, but they make movies like this. They will say, no, this is in the 50s. Come on, it was the 50s. It was the 50s, but these movies carried on. This type of representation of the Kemites carried on up until the late 2000s. So they can't use the "it was the 50s" excuse. Another scene from this movie. Oh my God. Right. Now the hairstyles, trying to depict, like, this is what Mr. Imhotep said in his video. It really looks like Caucasians, right? It really looks like white people putting on black wigs. And I love the painting behind these two ladies. Look at the painting. Look at the skin coloration of the painting. So you can't even use the excuse of ladies always yellow and all that, because this is the tomb of Mena, I think. This is a depiction from the tomb of Mena. And I think we can pull the original painting on, because I know where it is. I made a whole video on it. Yeah, is it the tomb of Mena? Yeah, I think it should be the tomb of Mena. Where is that depiction? Was it the tomb of Mena? I think. Oh. Or was it just a picture I had? Let me see. There we go. This should be the painting. So yeah, let me show you another imagery, some other imagery of this painting. This original, right? Okay. So as you can see over here, it's this original painting. The little kid there at the bottom has this coloration brown. The father is brown. The mother is even darker brown. So it's the exact opposite of what we just saw on this imagery here. The exact opposite. The very opposite of what we just saw. It's really them wearing black African hairstyles, like Caucasians wearing black African hairstyles for some reason. Yet they did not interact. According to some people, they did not interact with these black Africans except as their slaves. It's really disingenuous, the whole narrative. Look at the skin coloration. It does not match. Yet they carried on and made them Caucasians and justified them with. And look at the hairstyle. Look at the features on Queen Tia here. This is a depiction of Queen Tia. This is her depiction with her hairstyle on top. I don't believe these are wigs. This is not a wig. This is an actual hairstyle African ladies wear when you have the coarse hair of the tropical Africans, of the black Africans. You can do this hairstyle, but they clearly couldn't pull these hairstyles off these actresses. They clearly could not, because, well, it's not easy. It's not easy. It's not the easiest thing with Caucasian hair to do this, to repeat, to replicate this. Then we have this other imagery of the same movie. This is supposed to be Akhenaten and Nefertiti. And look at the whole court, their children. This is not how the children of Akhenaten and Nefertiti looked like. They did not look like this at all. The skin coloration does not remotely resemble that of Akhenaten and Nefertiti. Neither is their court. You can see the wall paintings at the back. Brown skin everywhere on the wall paintings. And what do we get in the movie? Pale skinned Caucasians, Europeans, typical looking Europeans. And look at the profile of the Pharaoh Akhenaten here. If you compare it to a real image of the Pharaoh Akhenaten, like here, you see the facial prognatism on the Pharaoh Akhenaten, the Nesut, and his wife, his beloved queen, his beloved wife, and their children. Their children were all bald and shaven, but in the Hollywood sphere, representing an Egyptian, an ancient Egyptian, you need to represent them with this hairstyle. But that's not a hairstyle everybody was rocking, but that's the imagery they wanted to portray. And this is not random, because Hollywood does not do anything at random. They don't just choose like this. No, they carefully think through everything they do. So Akhenaten Nefertiti, look at this depiction of Akhenaten and Nefertiti. Look at these depictions. Compared to the movie, it's not the same thing. It's really not the same thing. These were Africans, typical black Africans, and these are Caucasians from Europe. But yet, these images, these movies served as a way to tell the people implicitly through a propaganda, heavy propaganda, that these were white people like you. So, like especially the European or the Western folk of every day, they were telling him implicitly, these were your ancestors, great people. But the features you see on the bas-reliefs, this is a bas-relief image, on the statues, do not remotely resemble that of the Caucasians, and especially the Amarna period people. They were really African looking. When you go into their images, they don't show you. They were really African looking, like really. Then we have this other movie, The Land of the Pharaohs, with this lady I put on the thumbnail. Look at the way they represent. This is quite disrespectful. This is again sexualizing the Kemite woman, the ancient Kemite woman. This is where it started, sexualizing them. This exotic lady. This is how they started. Now, when you go into the movie, it's again the same thing, representing the Kemites this way. Pale-skinned Caucasians with here's something Mr. Imhotep noted in his video. You see the way this soldier is dressed here. He has this headdress on top there, but this is not how a Kemite soldier would have typically looked. They didn't look like this, because this was a crown. This was a crown in Kemet. It was not something. It was not something It was not something everybody could wear. But here, the roles are reversed. The supposed Nesut, who looks more like a Roman Empire, who just found himself in Kemet, he's not. He's the one who's supposed to wear this, but the soldiers are now wearing this. This is just messy. And I think these were supposed to be. I don't remember who they were supposed to represent. I don't know if it's Akhenaten and Nefertiti or some other pharaoh and wife. And this is clearly not the representation. But we didn't see any response from the Egyptian government because at the time they used to believe that, the Egyptians were white people, like, Caucasians. So this was completely fine. But the Cleopatra one, everybody tripped. Why are they tripping about the Cleopatra one that makes the Kemites look? The Kemites, we're not going to talk about Cleopatra herself, but the Kemites in the background were black. And that was where the issue was, but they focused on Cleopatra because it's an easy horse to beat. But this one, but the ones with the background Kemite as black, that one was harder to beat because we have proof that even around the time of Cleopatra, the Kemetu were still looking black. We have this from the imagery of Roman representations of the typical Kemite. We have this from Greek representations as well. And in the literature of the time, it also refers to them as black people, from the Arab representations and literature to Roman literature. So we know they didn't look like this. But this one was fine. Nobody complained about this. Nobody complained. Oh, I think this is the movie about Pharaoh Khufu and his wife. And I think many people, they love to say that Khufu had a Caucasian wife and he was Caucasian, therefore this is completely not true. But yeah, look at everyone. Pale-skinned Caucasians. Nobody complained about this. And look at this other imagery. Everybody is Caucasian. Everybody Caucasian. Again, trying to push the propaganda. They were Caucasian people. Then we have the next big movie, The Ten Commandments. A Bible movie. It's a Bible movie. It was huge. It was really huge. I think I watched it when I was a kid. Like, my parents made me watch it. I wasn't really a big fan of Bible movies. To be honest, I wasn't. People are laughing at the Khufu representation. That was Khufu, guys. It really looked Caucasian. Anyway, we have this big movie. I wasn't really a big fan of Bible movies, but hey, these were really huge, especially here in Africa, very religious people. So these movies were the thing. But again, they kept pushing this idea that everyone in the Bible, everyone in the in the ancient world were Caucasians, and the black people were at the fringes of the ancient world, back there in sub-Saharan Africa, quote unquote sub-Saharan Africa, stuck there, living a cycle, a repeating cycle. Anyway, we look at the images. We see this is how the Nesut is depicted. Now, you got I think this is supposed to be Akhenaten. What Nesut was it supposed to be at the time of Moses? Was it Akhenaten? I think it's Akhenaten or his father Amenhotep III. Anyway, so this is how they depict him. Caucasian looking, pale skinned. But if you compare his skin coloration, his skin tone to the wall paintings, you will not find the same thing. And same for the court. Same for the court. Someone said it's Ramesses. It's supposed to be Ramesses? Okay. I think so. I don't know. So yeah, look at the way he's depicted. This is not how a Kemite would have looked like. We know this. We've done the videos. Part 1 of my series on looking at the pharaohs, the images they don't show you. Oh, thanks for the thanks for the super chat from Black Rain Page. Thank you. I appreciate the donation. Really appreciate that. Thanks for the support. Look at this. Look at this. This is simply not how he would have been represented. This is not what he would have looked like. Simply not. And then we have his father. Oh my God. That's the guy on the thumbnail as well. I was like, so this is okay. This representation is okay. And we got the biggest lie ever. Like, the Hebrews were the slave to the Kemites and they built the pyramids. Not true. Anyway. But even if maybe they would have been persecuted maybe around some time, but they did not build the pyramids. It's a myth. Anyway. And it's not slaves who built the pyramids. It's simply not. Dragon of the West. Stone supporter of the channel. Thanks for being here. Since the beginning. All right. So this is clearly not how a Kemite would have looked like. That pale skin simply does not match the representations of a Kemite Niswut. And that's, I think, father and son or something like that. Maybe his officer. I did not watch this movie. I don't think I can sit through these. Even back then, when I was ignorant to the facts, I couldn't sit through these. Like, I hardly watch movies. So I couldn't sit. I prefer TV shows. So, pale-skinned people. But if you compare to the depictions, I think I checked it out on Wikipedia. It was Ramses II, I think. It was Ramses. And look at the depiction, the difference in skin coloration. And I love this imagery because it shows you that the Kemites saw themselves similar to the people of Tasseti down their place, or north, as they would have called it in the past. They saw themselves brown-skinned, black people, just like the Nubians. Not like any other Caucasian of Europe, especially not the Caucasians of mainland Europe. Then we have this. This was supposed to be Seti the First. Yeah, I remember now. This was supposed to be Seti the First, and I was like, oh man, I got images of Seti the First, and he looks nothing like you. Look at the image of Seti the First. Dark brown skin. And look at the depiction of Seti the First in the movie. Pinkish skin. So, no. We simply cannot accept these lies. So you see, the propaganda was really raging. You know, they want to tell me that they hadn't seen a depiction of Seti. Come on. It was the 50s. Egyptomania was raging still. They had created a whole body of science to study the land. And they tell me they hadn't seen a true depiction of Seti the First. Oh, he was just tanned. I forgot. Yeah. So let me see if this guy can tan in Kemet and see how it goes. Thanks for the donation from the Visitor 101. Hey. I'm loving this live stream so far. I'd love to see more of them. Okay, thank you. We're gonna be doing more live streams, and the elaborated videos are also gonna be there. Don't worry. Okay, I'm not gonna just be doing live streams all the time. I love making elaborated videos, even if it takes a lot of time editing, but I love making them. Anyway, so that's Seti. Look at the way they depicted him in the movie. It's clearly a propaganda because they had seen these images. This is an image of Seti, but I know on the internet many people say it's Amos the First, beating out Hyksos, Asians. But this museum says it's Seti, so I don't know. But you can see the coloration scheme. This is a Caucasian over here with his yellow skin. And we have Seti over there. So clearly, great difference that even the ancients saw. The Ten Commandments movie, Moses there standing, pausing, being the G. Anyway, now this is an image I had seen once. I was watching a conversation by Professor Omotunde, an Egyptologist. I think he's Guadeloupean. Yeah, he's from Guadeloupe. He's an Egyptologist. So he was pointing out like the director of this movie wanted to replicate the statue or the monuments behind as accurately as possible. And look at the coloration he used. Brown everywhere. Dark brown, because that's how the original color would have looked like. This is how they would have looked like. But now you look at the whole cast down here. It's not the same color. Look at Moses here. It's not the same color, but Moses is the same color as this guy here. Is the same color as the bootleg Seti of the bootleg European Seti. That's the color of Moses, and it clearly does not match the coloration of the Kemet statues at the back. We get a closer look. See, the coloration of the horse is the same as the skin of the Nesut on the chariot, so we know they didn't look as pale as this. They were looking like any typical African of today. So we clearly know that these depictions are false, and they were pushing a propaganda. Now look at the hairstyles. You see, when I tell you that Caucasian hair, they fail to pull to pull off the hairstyles of the Kemites. They simply cannot pull them off because you need coarse hair to do it. You really need coarse hair to do this kind of hairstyles. And then I want you to compare. This is a scene where the Nubians came to visit the Nesut, the Africans. They came to visit the Nesut. They say, "Oh, we've come to visit you, Seti the First. I'm the African dignitary." You can tell I'm an African dignitary by my way of dressing. So we look at the coloration. Which color matches better that of the paintings? Clearly, the Africans match the paintings better than these Kemites. But to the movie director and to the Egyptologists, these people are the same depicted on these, with the same coloration as horses, brown horses. It's simply disingenuous. But he said he had asked the experts, and the experts told them that the people of Kemet were Caucasians. So yeah, this depiction is okay. This is simply dishonest. This kind of imagery representation. And now some other images of the same movie. Really dishonest in every representation. The skin color, the hairstyles, the way of dressing, simply not true. This is not how they would have dressed. Usually these people they didn't wear things upper than the torso. They were usually bare-chested, but this is not what you see in these movies. And then we have this other movie. Next movie, Queen of the Nile. Queen of the Nile, you can see from the drawing already, white lady, 1961. See the Queen of the Nile? Very pale Caucasian with a typical Caucasian hairstyle, and the man behind there. The typical Caucasian. This is supposed to be Nefertiti. And we'll compare soon Nefertiti to this lady. And you'll see that it's not the same. Look at this Nefertiti bust here. The original Nefertiti bust, not what is in the Berlin Museum there. I don't trust that one, so I prefer to use this one. Look, compare the facial features. The full lips here are not so full. The nose is gone there. But this is clearly not Nefertiti. And this is clearly not how she would have been represented. And it seems Nefertiti was bold. Like, if you see her other depictions, like on this one here, on this, it seems she was bold. You know, she did skull shaping. She was always wearing a crown, maybe, and a wig. So maybe she was bold. But yeah, you can see the difference. This is not Nefertiti. This is not how she would have been represented. I don't think so. It's quite disingenuous to depict them like this and to keep pushing this idea, even though you know it's not true. But all these movies, notice, none of them have been ever talked about in the media, as much as the documentary on Cleopatra was talked about. None of them. None of them. Like, really, none of them. Like, I wanted to compare this one with the crown, since they have the same crown and they are both wearing, and they're both standing in a profile view. You see, it's just too different. Full lips, prognatism, no full lips, no prognatism. So no. And then we have this Cleopatra movie from 1963. Here I don't want to point out to how the Kemites. I don't want to say here that Cleopatra was black. I don't think she was black. I don't care whether she was black or not. I think she was a colonizer, and I don't care about Cleopatra. I care more about the real Kemite queens who did something, like Hatshepsut, who did something for Kemet and its people. I simply don't really care about Cleopatra. So I just wanted to show you the imagery, like the hairstyles. I wanted to compare the hairstyles. You see how Caucasian hair fails to pull off these hairstyles that you see on Kemite statues. That's what I wanted to show you. That's what I wanted to point out. So no, we don't really care about Cleopatra here. I don't. Thanks for the super chat from Quado. The Berlin bust of Nefertiti is fake, in my opinion. In mine too. I think it's fake. Thanks for the good info on this channel, brother. Thank you, brother or sister. I don't know. Thank you, mate. I like to say mate. That way it's gender neutral. So thank you, so that I don't assume anything. So thank you. So you see the hairstyle, typical African braids on top of the head of the statue of this is Queen Tia, and this is clearly not the thing. So now, and then we have in 1966 a movie called Pharaoh. I think this was made by Spanish people. I don't know. Now, this is supposed to be Ramses the 13th. So this is all made up. There was never a Ramses the 13th. He's never existed. But this is what a Ramses looked like. This is Ramses the 3rd. You saw Ramses the 2nd earlier. Most Ramses looked like this, like with this dark brown color. And the colors clearly don't match. So again, same depictions, Kemites as white people from Europe, same. I don't know why they have this weird bluish hue on top of them. Maybe it's the filter of the movie, editing, I don't know. But the features don't match the Ramses features over here. So clearly not your typical Kemite. I don't think they really look like this. This is clearly a false depiction. We saw the dancers. They did not look like this. They did not remotely look like this. The hairstyle is completely off. So no. So, but the propaganda continued. It continued. They continued pushing it. So we saw in 1954 to 1966, they kept pushing this propaganda, and the Egyptian government kept quiet. Now, this is another depiction. See the hairstyle? Completely off. Not real at all. Simply not real. Ramses the 13th. Anyway, another hairstyle. Fake. Completely fake. This is not what they would have looked like. Neither dress up like. See a typical Kemite queen, what she would have looked like, what her hairstyle looked like. Your typical African locks. Brown skin again. This is the wife of Seti the First. Yeah. Hey, and if you're not subscribed yet, subscribe now. A message from Kwelimika. That's me right there. Just kidding. That's not me. Anyway, then we move on. So we have a huge gap in movie making of Kemet, like about ancient Egypt. You don't have movies from after 1966, there after 1966, 1970, all the way up to 1999. You don't have many movies on Kemet. Why? Because of Sheikh Anta Diop. Why am I saying this? Because of the Cairo Symposium. The Cairo Symposium changed everything. So what's the story of the Cairo Symposium? The Cairo Symposium changed all. Let me pull up an image of Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop. Sheikh Anta Diop, Senegalese historian. Right. Because of this great man, things changed. 1974 Cairo Symposium. Made a few videos on that. Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop does a debate. Proves the Egyptians or the Kemites were black Africans. Typical black Africans. He proves that no one can debate it. None of the Egyptologists from Egypt, from Europe, from America, none proved him wrong. They all failed. So everybody goes quiet. And one thing I love about African Americans is that they took up the cry. They were like, you're not going to make any false depictions of the ancient Egyptians. None. So they made quite an uproar about it. Dr. John Henry Clark was there. So any Hollywood move about these kind of nonsense like that we saw of the Kemites looking like any other European was gone. Around that time, the great Sheikh Anta Diop said the motion in, you can't do that. You can't represent them falsely like that. So all the way you don't see anything until you see this. They come back sneaky. They keep quiet for like about 2 decades. They keep quiet. They keep it on the low, right? They put it in cartoons, kids' books, history books. Really sneaky. Someone said, Sheikh Anta Diop is a great man. The Egyptians were black Africans. Yes, very true, very true. So they keep quiet and then they come back with this movie, The Mummy. I did not enjoy this movie even back then when I was an ignorant. I thought it was a bit too silly. Anyway, this was a blockbuster, I think. It was a huge movie. People loved it. I did not love it. So this is Imhotep. Oh my god, this is so disrespectful. Like, this is a disrespectful representation of Imhotep, both in the concept of the movie, right? How he was depicted as an evil guy who wanted to do bad things, and the way he's depicted, the actor they chose. No, Imhotep did not look like this at all. And he was not an evil man, he was a great man. He was most likely a kind man. But Imhotep was the greatest scientist this world has ever known. Multi-genius, first multi-genius recorded in history was Imhotep. This is a depiction of Imhotep in Kemet. How Kemite artists viewed him, imagined him, because we don't have much iconography of Imhotep at the time of his life. We don't have much, but you can already see the clear differences, right? The popping nostrils of the Africans and full lips, as opposed to the narrow nostrils and lack of full lips of the Caucasians. And the skin color of Imhotep was not this. So, sorry, if his mother looked like this, with this African hairstyle, African features on the face, broad nose there, popping nostrils, full lips, we can tell that this was not your this guy could not have a mother that looks like this. Sorry, it's just I don't think we can all agree that his mother did not look like this. Anyway, Imhotep, you can see very disrespectful representation. Again, they came back pushing this idea. The Kemites were Caucasians. They had gone quiet because of Sheikh Anta Diop, Dr. John Henry Clark, Dr. Yosef Ben Yochanan, Dr. Van Sertima, and the people, especially African Americans, because they were there checking Hollywood at every turn, telling them, no, you can't do that. No, no. So yeah, thanks to all those people, these depictions were gone. And then they came back. And thank you for bringing them back, because as we read, they were like, no, these depictions should not be there. So the debates came back in, and now at this time it's raging. YouTube is crazy on these debates. Now look at this. This is supposed to be a Kemite lady. I don't know what she was supposed to be. This is not how the Kemite lady, a typical Kemite lady would have looked like. This is how a typical Kemite lady would have looked like. The image on the tomb paintings. And then we have the movie Gods of Egypt, 2016. They kept pushing this same idea that was debunked long ago, but they just ignored it because playing the silence treatment is the best way to avoid engaging an argument. So what you do is you keep quiet and then you come back and make a movie like nothing happened. And since people mostly watch movies, not everybody has the chance to go to a museum to see the real artifacts. Not everybody has the chance to read a book and see all these images and check the archaeology and all the studies that will prove to you that these were the Kemites were typical Africans. Not everyone has the chance to do that. So the casting, this is supposed to be Horus, I think. And maybe this one, I think Isis. But yeah, still Caucasian. And then they choose for the god Jehuti, Thoth. Chadwick Boseman, R.I.P., great man. This is the only accurate casting. And then they go on to do these Caucasian castings of typical European people. So yeah, Isis. No, Isis did not look like this. Anyway, then we have the movie Exodus. Exodus was again another great movie out there, right? Came to set this imagery of the Kemites. Now, here they came in with the mixed cast. Yes, we're gonna mix the casting. Like, yeah, everybody's there. There were black people. There were people from the Middle East. And there were Caucasians. Everyone was in Kemet. Everyone. And you see how it's depicted. The ruling class is white, Caucasian. And the working class, the soldiers, are black. I think it was Mr. Imhotep who made the meme. I don't know who made the meme. Someone memed and said, what are these pharaohs doing behind these random folks? And again, what Mr. Imhotep talked about in his video. You should go watch it. Check it out, folks. Check it out. The headdresses you see on the no. He pointed out so many great points. I don't remember all of them, so you have to go watch Mr. Imhotep's video. So Clearly, this is not how, these are crowns, people. They cannot be on a soldier. Let's look at what a typical Kemite soldier would have looked like in the ancient times. All right, that's the image right there. Let me put it up. This is what a typical Kemite soldier would have looked like. Your typical black African, dark brown skin with an afro on top, not a they wouldn't have worn a crown that was meant for their ruler. It's just not accurate. They wouldn't have done that. It's like an affront to the gods or something. So that's what a typical Kemite soldier would have looked like. So the skin coloration of the casting is right, it's correct. But what is not correct is the way they're dressed and the way the ruling class is depicted. It's just not true. And I think this is supposed to be Ramses again, Exodus, right? Same time, Moses and all. So they're supposed to be Ramses and his wife. This is not what a typical Kemite Nesut and his wife would have looked like. We saw it, we compared before Ramses, all brown skinned. And then we have a TV show from 2015. Oh my God. I have to make a confession here. I actually enjoyed this show when I was an ignorant. I actually enjoyed it. I was like, oh, this show. Okay, now, why did I enjoy it? I'm just gonna be honest with you. It's because of these two ladies. Yeah. Pretty faces. So yeah, your boy's gonna enjoy. But no, now looking at it in hindsight, I just know these depictions were super wrong. Like most of it. So let's dive into it. So this is a show about King Tut. So this is supposed to be King Tut, your Canadian actor here. King Tut. That's King Tut. Yes, I'm not kidding. This is how they chose to represent King Tut. And for those who've been following the channel, for those who are in the know, King Tut, there is no way King Tut would have looked like this. No depiction of his suggests anything remotely close to this. Nothing. And we're just gonna prove that shortly. Look for yourselves. King Tut as Hollywood sees him here, and King Tut as his artists depicted him. Sorry, I need a water break. Stay hydrated, people. Right. So, yeah, I needed a water break. Yeah. Anyway, look at the way he's depicted. Like Hollywood just kept pushing this propaganda. The propaganda never went away. Sheikh Anta Diop made them fear. So they went quiet. The African Americans really threatened Hollywood. So they kept quiet for a while. It was just in books and cartoons. They kept going there. But major movies doing this, no. But since the argument died down again, so they came back with this kind of nonsense. Look at this. Look at King Tut, depicted by his artist. There is no way he would have looked like this. Simply no. The coloration of his skin was brown. They can't come and say it was a tan. No, simply no. How can a pharaoh be tanned? Oh no, he's training at being a warrior. No. Like they usually have no evidence, no Kemite papyrus, no Kemite papyrus speaking on this issue. So where are they getting that? Nowhere. Again, just compare the features. compare the skin coloration, the nose, the lips. No, King Tut would not have looked like this. And then we have this in the movie is King Tut's sister. I don't know if it's Mary Taten or some of the other sisters of King Tut. Now, look at the depictions of the past. King Tut, his sister here, both have a skull-shaped thing. And you have these, they both have facial prognatism, subnasal prognatism protruding. The lips are protruding, right? Broad noses at the base, popping nostrils. And the Hollywood depiction is just off. Right, another depiction, right? This is Princess Mary Taten, I think. Mary Taten, yeah. Oh, Meketaten. I forgot her name. Like, it should be Meketaten or Mary Taten. Let me check that out. King Tut's sister. King Tut's sister should be. Yeah, it should be. It's Meketaten. It's Meketaten. Yeah, this is Meketaten. You see her depiction there? Shows you brown skin. It shows you again brown skin. And then you have King Tut with brown skin as well. Thanks for the super chat again from Quado. Are the general population in Kenya aware of the truth about Kemet being black African? Is there interest in African history in Kenya? I'm curious. Well, I'm not actually from Kenya. That's what my channel says. But I'm from Congo. But what can I say? I'm not in Kenya, so I wouldn't know. So I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say anything that could be inaccurate. Well, I can only speak of about Congo. And what I see here in Congo, well, in Congo, not so much. Like, not many people are, they just assume, you know. We learned in school that the Kemites were an African civilization, just as Nubia, just as Meroe, just as Aksum, just as the kingdom of Meneptah. That's how we learned about Kemet. We just learned about it. So many people assume. When I speak with people, I tell them, do you know that the people think the Egyptians were not black? They are taken aback and they're like, well, they were black. They were Africans. That's how they view the topic. So I don't know about Kenya. But yeah, thanks for the question. It's a good question. That's something, you know, we would love people. That's something I would like to know the answer of as well. But yeah, you see the depictions clearly don't match anything. Next set of images. This is another depiction of King Tut's sister. I think that's a twin to the other depiction we saw earlier. Like this one. It's a twin. Anyway, so that's, you can see it clearly does not match the Hollywood depiction. And they kept doing it because they gotta push their propaganda. Here they didn't even hire like black soldiers at the back, and Hollywood keeps, they keep peddling this imagery of Kemet, and they say they talk to experts. This is what really pisses me off, because people would say, oh no, the directors speak to the experts, so it's okay. And what experts told you that this is the way a Kemite soldier would have dressed? What experts told you that this is the way a Kemite lady would have dressed, a Kemite Nesut would have dressed? Simply not true. That they talk to the experts, or the experts they talk to are just like liars. I can just call them liars. Let's just call them liars. They lie about being experts. Anyway, someone said Teofilo Benga is Congolese, I believe. Yes, he's Congolese from Brazzaville. Yeah, there are two Congos. I'm from Congo Kinshasa, the big Congo. And Teofilo Benga is from the smaller Congo. Yeah. Anyway, same depictions of the uncle of King Tut. This is supposed to be, I think, Smenkareo, I think, was trying to take over the throne. I actually watched this show with its false depictions. So this is supposed to be Smenkare, right? Or King Tut. They don't know. But I think it's King Tut. You know, he's holding a staff here. His foot seems to be, you know, broken there. I don't know. Maybe it's Menkare. Some experts believe it's Menkare. Some experts believe it's Tutankhamen. So we look at the depiction. The skin coloration does not match this Hollywood depiction. So they're clearly pushing a propaganda. We move on to this depiction. The hairstyle. The hairstyle again. The hairstyles do not match any of the Hollywood depictions. And you say you talk to experts. Which experts showed? What did they show you? They just showed you a DNA study, and you didn't look at how the people of the land represented themselves. That's weird. That's really weird. I don't think we would have done this for a movie depicting the Greeks. You go into the DNA of the Greeks, they tell you, oh no, they look Middle Eastern, or they have some Middle Eastern DNA and some African DNA and some European, so they looked mixed. But they would still refer to the statues of the Greeks to say, oh no, these were clearly Caucasian people, so you have to depict them with your typical European person. But they don't do this for ancient Egypt. They don't do this. They don't have an interest in depicting Kemet in an accurate way. Now, we're done with the movies, with the adult stuff. Now we go to kids. Start them early. Start early, beginning the propaganda from an early age. This is where they hammer things in your kids' heads, and as kids, we just enjoy watching cartoons and we don't really realize what's going on. We just watch and take in, right? Even if you're taught in school that Kemet is an African civilization, it's akin to Nubia, it's akin to Aksum, it's akin to Mali, Ghana, Ouagadougou, and all that. But what you watch as a kid really has an impact on how you really view things, on how you process, on how you remember things. So they usually start early. They usually start early. This is how they start. Now we go on with the first depictions. These are from a French history book. They depict the Kemites as pale-skinned Caucasians looking like this, right? So this is supposed to be a depiction of the Caucasians working. But let's see how the Caucasians themselves represented themselves while working. This is how they represented themselves. Those wooden statues are painted. They're not just wood. They are painted. They're actually painted. So you can't come up here and make arguments about how it's a tan or anything. They specifically used brown color for women and men alike. All of them. So the coloration is clearly off, but a kid reading this wouldn't question that. And we understand they're a kid. They don't really care about these things. And then we have this other depiction. Same nonsense. But if you compare to the Kemite ladies, this is a Kemite lady. See how different it looks. See how different it is. It's really, really super different. Super different. So they simply cannot lie to us about some sort of tan. These are ladies. This is a lady, like in the noble sphere of Kemet. Was she working outside all the time? It's really weird to have that argument. Then we have this again from a French book. from a French book. The Kemet queen and her pharaoh are represented as pale-skinned Caucasian in the book. This is supposed to be Pharaoh Seti I and his wife. But now let's look at an original image of Seti I and his wife, and you will see the fraudulent nature of this book. This is how they hammer things in your kids' heads. They go like, well, these Kemites were clearly white, but they don't show them the real artifacts because kids are the kids. They don't look at things with a certain agenda. They just look at things at face value. So when they look at an image like this, they see that dark brown skin on the queen. They go like, were these black people? That's what they're gonna ask. And then the teacher is gonna proceed to tell them, no, they used to use some sort of makeup, a whole body makeup that they used to put on the face and everywhere. And that's why they appeared brown, even to the Greeks. But fear not, kids, they were just like you, white people. It's really weird. Anyway, then we have this great movie, The Prince of Egypt. It was a great movie. I think I enjoyed it when I watched it, because I really like 2D movies, animation. I really like. That's my go-to thing when I want to watch some media. So, Prince of Egypt. Now, when I was watching this as a kid, I thought, well, these were, Africans, right? Like they were black. But then you grow up and they tell you, this coloration is not black. It's not even light brown of the black people. It's simply Caucasian dark skin. So they were white. But then in the movie you have a depiction like this of Queen, I think Queen Tia. Then you compare, like, this is how she would have been depicted. Like, the cartoon is quite, it's okay, To me, that was a black lady. I don't know to you, how do you see her, chat? Like, this was clearly a black lady. But to some people, this was not. They were like, no, it's clearly not a black lady. It's just a tanned olive skin, as Metatron put it. So again, same depictions, supposed to be olive skin. So, and then we have this other movie, King of Dreams, Joseph movie, the Joseph movie. Another interesting Bible movie. Yeah, someone said to me, yes, she's a black lady. She does look like a black lady. Anyway. Then, yeah, here on the cover, you see them looking like really pale, right? Like they really look pale. They really look pale. There's a video I wanted to play. There's a video I wanted to play on these for this movie. There's a trailer out there. There's a trailer. So let's play it. Hopefully it does not do a copyright thingy. Hopefully it does not do a copyright claim. Transition. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna do a copyright claim. So let's look at how they depicted the people in the movie, because on the cover they made them look really pale. But on the trailer, you can see the movie. It looks different. Yeah, internet is a bit slow. Hopefully you can hear the sound.
From the filmmakers who created The Prince of Egypt comes the next in a series of classic stories. DreamWorks home editor.
So you see Joseph. On some shots he looks really pale, and on some shots he looks dark. So they'll say it's olive skin. It's a tan.
All new animated adventure. The film critics call epic and grand. Storytelling at its best.
Storytelling.
A story that will live forever.
Okay.
Tell Pharaoh about my gift, please.
So they went to see the Pharaoh. Look at how this guy looks. You'd think, okay, this guy is just your typical black African, right? Like with his brown skin, they're like, no, this is not a black African. This is just olive skin, tanned olive skin.
You can explain.
And then look at the Pharaoh. Look at the Pharaoh. Look at the Pharaoh. Yeah. He's pale. The same propaganda. The same propaganda continued. The ruling class was white, and the workers were darker. Same old propaganda.
Believe in the mirror.
And then you look at the people, it's the same gray area of, they were just pale, tanned olive skin people, not black. People move from Hollywood. So yeah, like, yeah, I think that's it. That's it. So that's the movie, the Joseph movie. Yeah, someone said they're trying to mix it up and play both sides. True, very true. And then you have this movie. I just found out about this movie, La Reine Soleil, the Sun Queen. Queen of the Sun or something like that. The English title should be Queen of the Sun, something like that. Look at the way they are depicted. Typical Africans. Like, this is made by French, but this was made by a French director, a French cartoon director. He made them looking like this. Facial prognatism, full lips, dark brown skin, like brown skin. I was like, whoa. How are they gonna argue about this and say, "Oh no, this was not the brown skin of the African," as the old scholars would put it, the copper-colored skin, this of the Africans. It's not. It's the tanned olive skin of the North Africans. Simply nonsensical. So in this movie, you have accurate depictions, a bit more accurate, right? Like, it's more accurate. It's closer to the truth, at least in skin coloration. Since it's cartoon, you can emulate easily the drawings. So yeah. But yeah, they still put blue eyes. It's a cartoon. We can allow them. But yeah, in a cartoon. But the coloration of the skin is always that of the black African people. But then I don't know. Maybe I'll ask the author and he will tell me, no, it's not black. It's clearly tanned olive skin. This is how us Europeans see tanned olive skin, really. Look at these features. Like, guys, how can you tell me this is tanned olive skin and then you put these features on them? That's just not true that it's tanned olive skin. It's gotta be black Africans he was depicting, because he probably knows the truth. Yeah, she looks beautiful. Someone said she looks beautiful. She does look beautiful. Like, she really looks beautiful. Like, even here, they really look beautiful. And yeah, and subscribe, guys. Subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. I urge you to subscribe. Thanks for subscribing for those who will. And we move on. Then this is another cartoon that I grew up watching. Papyrus. That's the French title, Papyrus. I don't know if it was made by French people, or I don't know which country this cartoon is from. But yeah, I grew up watching this. This is how I really liked cartoon that talked about ancient times. So it ran for like 2 years. I was watching this every day. Like, it used to be one of my favorite cartoons. So when I was watching this cartoon, I thought the characters were, black people. But I didn't really think it through. I thought it was just a mixed bag. Because I thought she was black. I thought he was more of your Middle Eastern. But I definitely thought she was black. But then if you ask the authors, they will tell you, and Europeans, adults, they will tell you, no, this is olive skin, not your olive skin, not your not your black skin of not your black skin tone. But then you see her full lips, and I was just like, she gotta be black anyway. And then you have these, they sometimes hanged out with some Africans. I guess these would be the Nubians. These would be Nubians. See the dark coloration. This is probably implicitly, it gets in your head that these are not African people. It implicitly gets in your head that no, the Kemites are pale people, so there are no Africans. And you see, this is an African. So this is how they implicitly put the message in the kids' heads. And then there was another cartoon that I enjoyed watching as well when I was a kid, Princess of the Nile. Princess of the Nile was one of those other cartoons that I enjoyed watching. So for a time, I thought she was black too. I thought that was what was in my head at the time. I was like, yeah, she's black. Like, look at this guy, he looks black. But then looking at it in hindsight, they clearly were trying to depict a North African pale tanned olive skin, something like that. But then you look at this guy, he really looks African. And this one, anyway, the features on them, that's what gave them away to me. Anyway, so again, there is a panel in this cartoon like whereby you see a mixed bag. You see, again, playing both sides. Like, yes, there were black people like this one, but they would say again, it's tanned olive skinned. Let's remember. So again, that's how the message gets into your head. It's just mixed people, whatever. Then when you grow up and then you meet people who tell you the Egyptians were black, you're like, whoa, really? Weren't they just like the modern Egyptians? You know, that was my first reactions when I first started hearing about the Egyptians were black people. And here is the evidence. Read Cheikh Anta Diop. And I was like, wow, okay. I had never seen these images. All I had seen was Hollywood portrayals, like in 10 Commandments and Bible movies, or cartoons like this one, and documentaries too. So yeah, cartoons like this one contributed to this image. Oh, they're probably white, something like that. Then there is this 2023 movie, like 2023 movie, Mummies. New movie, 2023. They're still continuing the propaganda. So for those who thought that it's gone, this propaganda is gone. It's not gone. It's still very much alive. This is a movie from, I think, Germany or somewhere there in Europe. They made this movie with ancient Egyptians that look like any other Caucasian. So we're back to square one, whereby it's not even mixing anybody. Now, there were white people, okay? And then we would go and say, this is not an accurate depiction of the Kemites. They would say, race does not matter, it's just a cartoon. But then if we make a cartoon like this one, they trip. The Egyptian government, actually, the reason why they got angry at Kevin Hart for they said Kevin Hart cannot go and do a stand-up comedy show in Egypt. It's because he backed a cartoon called Black Sands. Let's check out Black Sands. Let's see what it looks like. Black Sands. It's even hard to find it. So, Black Sands. Let's see what Black Sands looks like. So, this is the cartoon Kevin Hart backed. That's the cartoon right there. Black Sands. Check it out on YouTube. There is an extract. There is a trailer on YouTube and a few episodes. And support the project if you can. This is a really great project. This is an accurate representation of the Kemites. Right? So, this is the cartoon Kevin Hart invested in. And this is what we want to see from Hollywood celebrities. Please, invest in projects that will empower the young black youth and give them a sense of a historical, a sense of, I forgot the words anyway. A sense of identity, right? That's what I wanted to say. It's going to give them a sense of identity, of a deep identity that goes back thousands of years. This is what the black youth lacks. So when the Egyptian government sees a project like this one, they don't even care about it. They say, well, that's fine. But when they see black scenes, they really trip. They oh no, you can't do this. They were not black. They were not black. And that's what you see in most of these videos on people saying, why are black people saying the ancient Egyptians were black, like Metatron's video or the Kemet Queen's video. They all went like they were not black, but they didn't go after the Europeans who were saying that these people were typical white people. So yeah. See this coloration, see the way they're depicting them. The propaganda continues. Your kid is watching this, he's gonna think, oh, the Egyptians were white. He's not gonna think it through, he's just gonna consume. It's 3D cartoon, it's great, he's just gonna enjoy their designs there. And this is completely false. This is a completely false representation of the Kemites. This is not what their hair would have looked like. This is not how they would have dressed. Why are they covering their whole body? Like, oh, their mummies. Come on. And this is what they're going to make kids think of ancient Egypt. They're going to make kids think that the ancient Egyptians were wearing mummy attires. This is how anyway, it's just cartoons. They're trying to be silly. But the skin coloration, that's no silly matter. The hair texture is no silly matter. The facial features is no silly matter, because everybody in this movie who is depicted as an ancient Egyptian looks like this, and this is completely false. So that's the black sand thing. There's a little video, so you can. I hope they don't flag this and say, oh no, copyright. So we're gonna.
Ein total verwickeltes Abenteuer im Kino.
See how everybody looks? Pale skin Caucasians. They even changed on the painting. See, right there at the back. They made him yellow. Okay, we see. See how everybody looks? Everybody is pale. Everybody. It's subtle. Like, you watch this as a kid, you don't think much of it. But in your head, it sticks. That's what we call conditioning. Hollywood conditioning. Well, yeah, someone said it's German. What do you expect? Yeah, it's German. Anyway, they keep a fake Nefertiti there, so yeah. And I believe the Skuneman study, the 2017 DNA study that they did, that where they reached a false conclusion, was also made by a German lab. So yeah. So you see this. The ancient Egyptians go to Europe in modern times, and they don't look different than the Europeans. So what's the message? What's the implicit message? They were just like any other European. We see you. And then there's this other TV show called Luke, the Time Traveler. So it's also a new TV show. I even saw it on TV the other day. And I was like, my kid's just not gonna watch this kind of TV show. No, please no. Anyway, we have these depictions. Here they tried to make the Kemites darker, but still not brown, because people are gonna think they're black. So they're very careful, and they will say race does not matter. Race really does not matter. But then they do this. And then this Luke guy really looks paler than them. But look at the way the soldiers are depicted here. And look at the way the soldiers are depicted in Kemet. It's just not the same thing. It's just not the same thing. The skin coloration, had they just respected this skin coloration, everybody would have thought they were black people. So now we reach the reconstructions and documentaries, reinforcing everything with dishonest scholars. Yes, I mean that dishonest scholars, because they have seen the monuments. You're attempting to do a reconstruction of the Kemites, but you don't use the portrayals of the Kemites themselves as reference. So no, it's really dishonest. So the reconstructions, we have documentaries like this one, The Rise and Fall of the Ancient Egyptians. This lady, she's like quite a big Egyptologist right there. She really loves ancient Egypt. She really loves it all. And I saw one of the documentaries. They did a scene where they use your typical Middle Easterners and North Africans as the Kemites. And then you have this evidence reveals how the pyramids were actually built. How pyramids were built by infographics. Look at the skin coloration. Look at the way he's dressed. Like, they continue this same propaganda. Or I think the propaganda from earlier times has impacted them. So they do things like this. It's really like you start thinking in conspiracy theory, but I don't think it's much of a conspiracy. It's just the way they've been wired. They have been conditioned to view things this way. They have been told this is not, the paintings you see on the walls of Kemet are not the accurate depictions. The accurate depiction should be a paler skin tone or something like that. And then we have this insane life of an ancient Egyptian pharaoh. Instead of using depictions of the real depictions of a pharaoh and ladies, no, they prefer to make reconstructions like these. That way it's easier. Even look even at the official documentary, Odyssey, ancient history documentaries, right? They prefer using this thumbnail with a reconstruction at the back instead of using, I don't know, wall paintings. So it's really well wired, you know. See, infographics again. Now this time they even came in and put the Kemites as pale people. So 2 years ago they made them brown. 3 years ago they made them pale. I don't know if someone talked to them. No, they weren't looking like any European, so they went to the Middle Eastern thingy, North African thingy. So yeah, again, why are you not using unbelievable stuff they didn't teach you about ancient Egypt? 2 million views. See how the propaganda works. This is how it works. This is how it works, like this. Simple things like that. Making cartoons like this. And they will say, we asked the experts. Which expert told you that this skin tone was the most common in Kemet? I want to talk to that expert. Then you have this other from See You in History, Mythology. The history of ancient Egypt. Again, instead of using real artifacts, real paintings of the Kemites, like the statue of King Tut, no, they prefer using these reconstructions. Why? I wonder why. If you're not participating in the propaganda, why are you doing this? Anyway. And then I went to watch the documentary of See You in History. And this is the first image that meets you. Narmer slaying this is the Nesut Narmer, the first Nesut of Kemet, slaying his opponents. And look at them, they're all white. And you're like, you see, instead of using the real Narmer palette, they don't use it. They prefer using this. And why would you take this skin coloration as the typical skin coloration of the Kemite? What's your reference? Not the tomb paintings. That we know. See, again, more reconstructions in his video. Like 1 minute in, and that's what you see. Sledges, like this is probably not how the pyramids were built as well. Again, see how they're depicted. I don't think the Kemites wore these white clothing on their head all the time. Anyway, because see how workers are dressed. See how they're dressed. See how these ones are dressed. It's clearly not the same thing. It's clearly not true. And then we have this depiction again. See you in history. This is what he been using in his videos. Reconstructions. Instead of showing these wooden statues, they are there on the internet. You prefer to use these reconstructions. It's really disingenuous. Then you have the quote-unquote scientific reconstructions of the Kemites. And look at this. This is just scary as hell. This is not an accurate representation of King Tut. Simply not. Compare the two. This is not how it would have looked like. They even dared to put the statue, the depiction of ancient Kemite artists, and the depiction they did. They even put them side by side. Water break, people. Water break. So, clearly not. And this is a 2023 reconstruction. Oh my God. I was like, and this appeared a few months after the King's monologue. Shout out King's monologue. It appeared after the King monologue did his reconstruction after the debate on Cleopatra. They came in to reinforce the propaganda with this kind of reconstruction. But we know it's not true. We know it couldn't have looked like this. That's just not true. Then we have this other depiction of this other reconstruction by this guy of Nefertiti. Sorry, my man. First of all, this Nefertiti, sorry, she's not pretty. The depictions of Nefertiti look pretty. This is not, no. Sorry, you did a wrong job there. And then you have this, when people saw this, people were like, nah, man, this is not true. This is not the look at the reference. This is what you should use as reference. Accurate depictions in sculpture from Kemet. They were accurate. They clearly don't look the same. And then another depiction, another reconstruction you often see when you type in Ramses II. You see this reconstruction using his skeleton as reference. Like this does not make sense because he was old and this is a skeleton. Who looks like their skeleton when they're alive? Like, are you that sick? Like, it's, is your skin like really stuck to your skeleton? He looks sick. This is not, oh my God. These reconstructions are just not it. No, they're just not it. Look at this other reconstruction of Ramses II. You compare the skin colorations. So the propaganda is kept on, like they just keep pushing it. And then this, we have this reconstruction of Quintia. They keep pushing it in the propaganda goes in the reconstructions as well. But then you have these images of Quintia. Compare, guys, compare. This is what Quintia looked like. And guys, she looked like your typical African lady. And now on to the immense work of correction. There is hope, people. There is hope. How new honest scholars and artists are correcting past lies. This is the work of correction. First, we go back to the OG Hollywood depiction of the Egyptians, of the Kemites, the only one with a black cast. Thanks, Michael Jackson, the greatest. Remember the time One of my favorite songs. One of my favorite songs by AMJ, Michael Jackson, the GOAT, the king of pop. Really love this, man. Anyway, see, this was the only time, and it came right after. It came after the Cairo Symposium. Sheikh Anta Diop, John Henry Clark, Van Sertima, Joseph Ben Yochanan, Chancellor Williams, and African Americans pushing the narrative forward. So thanks to those people, we got this. The only one. And because MJ was so great, nobody screamed, "Oh, appropriation, misappropriation." But he was telling us a message. Remember the time? Do you remember? MJ, man. The GOAT, man. And then we have this depiction of Queen Tia done by Bas Uterwich. Bas Uterwich is another of these honest scholars that you sometimes get from Europe. Is, I think, Swedish or Swiss, I don't know. Yeah, he's from Europe. And he did this reconstruction of Queen Tia, and when you compare with her statues, because that's the reference you should use. As I think he uses an AI system where he puts all the depiction along with the skeleton one, but also the sculptures and paintings, and the AI will do its work. And this is what the AI gives you. So it's scientific. And this is what he did with the Nefertiti reconstruction and Akhenaten. Very, very accurate in the skin tone, the facial features. This is what we saw on Nefertiti's facial reconstruction. And once again, people subscribe. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Subscribe, please. Thank you. Thank you for subscribing. For those who will. And two of my favorite channels on YouTube, Mr. Imhotep and The King's Monologue. These two are doing immense work of reconstructions as well. The correction work is in the process. So we start with the older guy, Mr. Imhotep. He's been on the platform for a long time. So he starts early. He gives us a depiction of the Kemites for kids. So for people who have kids out there, this is what you need to read them. My African Icons. Please get this for your kid. Go to Mr. Imhotep's website. You'll find this. I'm going to get one for my niece as well, so that she can be growing up, watching, seeing good representation of herself through cartoons. And then when she grows up, she will see movies, because we're going to work towards that. We're going to make series, movies, to correct the past lies. And we don't care what the Egyptian government says. We just striving for the truth. And the truth is the Kemites were black Africans in majority. And we're gonna do a work of correction. So we start here, we start early, teach your kids about this. Great initiative for Mr. Imhotep. And then we have this. This image is so beautiful, right? This is a hieroglyphic symbol for face in Kemet. This is what they drew when they meant to say face. And look at how similar. Look at how it's just the same features you see all over, like flat broad nose, full lips on this Khoisan activist, this San activist, Roy Sesana, a San activist. Very same depictions. So the work of correction is there, and Mr. Imhotep is doing great work of correction. Yeah, this is Princess Meketaten. Yeah, Princess Meketaten, a reconstruction by Mr. Imhotep. Look at the skin coloration. That's the skin tone. And the hairstyle, So yeah, Mr. Imhotep does great work. Shout outs to Mr. Imhotep. For anybody who's not following Mr. Imhotep, if you're not already following Mr. Imhotep, you should. And then we have the King's Monologue. The King's Monologue also doing great work. If you're not already following the King's Monologue, you gotta follow him. You have to follow him to see great reconstructions of the Kemites. This reconstruction of King Tut broke the internet. Like on TikTok, it really had like millions of views in a day because it looks so similar. It looks so like they really look the same. Thanks for the super chat from Saladin. Saladin, shout outs to Saladin. Saladin has an Instagram page. You can follow him on Instagram. Let me pull out his Instagram image that he made. Like it was so beautiful. Like Saladin, he sent me some images of Nefertiti and Queen Tia. That were just beautiful. They were just so beautiful. Where is it? Yes, there it is, people. I saved it because I was really in love with the drawing. So that's Saladin. Let me put that through. Yeah, see this depiction that Saladin did. He did a correction because he had watched he had seen other pictures of Nefertiti, and that's what he did. Saladin, what did you say there? Akala, full address, and Q&A. Oxford Union does a good job giving a lecture on Kemet and Black history. Yes, I watched that. That Oxford Q&A, and it was great. Akala did a great job, and I was like, dude, why don't you focus on this? You did it so well. Anyway, follow Saladin. That's his Instagram. Check out his Instagram. It was really great. So yeah, we go back to the King's monologue. Great reconstruction. Look at this. It just looks so much similar. Like it's the same. It's like this would really look like King Tut alive. Like I remember the Akala thingy lecture. It was really great. Right? Oxford address. People, check it out. For those who haven't, check it out. Yeah. So the work of reconstruction is really there. It's really in March. It's really, it's really in the process. Look at this representation. Shout outs to the King's monologue. A new kingdom power couple, Nefertiti and Akhenaten. See his reconstructions. Really great. Nefertiti has come. The beautiful woman has come. This is how Nefertiti must have looked like. This is how Akhenaten must have looked like. So really great reconstructions from the King's monologue. His Queen Tia. I think he did a correction on Queen Tia. So go check that out on his channel. Go check out the King's monologue. And then we have Black Sands. We already talked about Black Sands. And that's the last slide of this show. Black Sands. You guys should support an initiative like this one. Great initiative. Great show. Check it out. Check out Black Sands. Really great animation show. I really wish I could purchase it and watch, but it's still in the making process. So Kevin Hart sponsored it, and the Egyptian government refused him to come there. Why are they refusing this? But a movie like Mummies, no, they don't. So that's the end of our stream. That's the end of our little lecture on the Kemites. The Kemites depictions. How the media pushes a false depiction, pushes a false image of the Kemites on the people. How they push it into your mind implicitly if you don't know anything about Kemet and you watch those movies, cartoons, and documentaries. This is what is going to happen. So, guys, thanks for being here. So, yeah, subscribe to the channel if you like what we do here. Subscribe. Jehuti asked you, and Maat too. Goddess Maat. Yeah, what a stream. What a stream, yeah. So yeah, a few updates on the channel. So I'm gonna be working on the third part of the third part of connecting Kemet to inner Africa. So I'm gonna start working on that one after the stream. I'm gonna start working on that one, and if everything goes well, we should have a video in about 2 weeks. Thank you for all you do. Thank you to Monique Shannon. Thank you so much. New Egypt is white sponsored. Yes. Thanks, Kwadimika. Great stuff. Thank you as well. Truth shall prevail. Yes, RJ. Truth will prevail. Indeed. Been subscribed, and God bless you too. Mike Brown, God bless you. Thank you for the stream, mate. God bless you too, Michael Clayton. God bless you all. God bless you too. So I think we're gonna end it here. It's been a long stream, almost 2 hours. I think it's like 2 hours. So we're gonna end it here. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for supporting the channel by being here. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And see you in my next video and in the next stream. If you want more of these streams, share the link. Let people know about the streams we do. And we're going to have more streams like this. Anyhow. All right, folks. See you. Peace.